Mozambique's emerging gas sector faces potential delays and cancellation of downstream projects because of the insurgency in the northern province of Cabo Delgado. Some downstream projects have already been cancelled, leading the economy's intelligence unit to revise downwards its GDP forecast for 2023 to 2025 to an annual average of 7.6% from 8.7%. Joining me now to talk more about this is Matt Kindiger, the Associate Practice Lead at Frontier View. Thank you very much, Matt Kindiger, for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show today.
So tell me, to what extent does the insurgency in Mozambique pose a risk to the development of the gas industry in Far North, as well as to companies operating in other parts of that country?
Yes, well, as you've mentioned during the intro, the gas industry will be crucial for the development, the economic development of the economy over the coming years. So it really is important to be concerned about the risks that the recent insurgency poses to the gas industry. In our view here at Frontier View, in short, it probably doesn't pose a fundamental risk of derailing development of the gas industry. And this is because it's in the interests of the gas companies and the government to ensure that these developments do go ahead. There could be delays, there could be disruptions to the development of gas downstream facilities, but the prize is just too great. The revenues from gas are pretty significant, or the potential revenues. So we do expect the government to prioritize security in the far north of the country, protecting gas developments, but companies in other parts of the country, I would note, certainly should not be concerned about the effect of the insurgency on them for the foreseeable future.
So given the challenges facing the development of the gas industry, how do you expect the economy to perform this year?
Well, so if we look back to 2020, we're still waiting for full year data to come out, but we're forecasting a full year recession of about 1% contraction, so not very significant. We're currently forecasting growth of about 4% this year, so substantial improvement over 2020. But we are now we have a downside bias for growth this year, and this is because we've talked about potential disruptions to the gas industry. There's also a significantly depressed tourism industry as a result of very weak global tourism demand. That will affect Mozambique. And also, government finances are in a pretty bad state in Mozambique. So the government has very limited capacity to stimulate the economy. So overall, not a bad year for Mozambique in terms of growth, but I wouldn't say a particularly upbeat one either.
So what else should companies be aware of in Mozambique this year?
Yeah, so there are a couple of other things companies should probably monitor. One is that conditions, business sentiment, business conditions, overall operating conditions are probably going to be better in 2021 versus 2020. But there are a couple of risks on the horizon. One is that the government has been banking very heavily on gas windfalls, so revenues from the gas sector. But because these are likely to be delayed because of the insurgency, selling to the government is going to be very difficult for the foreseeable future. We also expect to see disruption for companies that sell or import products from South Africa for the foreseeable future. And this is because of obviously the ongoing COVID pandemic in South Africa. We've seen the government close the border from time to time. Maputo is particularly vulnerable to this because of its close economic links and trade links with South Africa. So there's probably, that does represent a risk. We also are forecasting a sustained, although not terribly fast, depreciation of the currency, the Metical, this year. This could drive up costs for importers. So that's also something to bear in mind over the course of the year.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks.
Thanks very much.